Hey, folks, Jake Roos and Rusty Mansell here with you. DawgsHQ post-game show. And Rusty, you knew that Georgia couldn't win them all forever. I don't think that anybody was hoping, though, that it would all end tonight.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, man. 2 years ago, we're sitting right here in this building. Last time they lost was to this team, and for whatever reason, man, Alabama is 4-0 against Georgia in Mercedes-Benz, which is we don't have the answer for it, Bruce. It's just one of those things right now. And until they beat them, they're gonna answer this question a lot. And I don't know if you can hear, but Alabama's getting their celebration there, getting that thing. They earned it. Hell of a run by Georgia. First thing we got to mention, hell of a run by Georgia. This team's really not going anywhere, but you hate to see it kind of end right here because you know that committee's going to have a tough decision. And likely all hood Georgia probably on the outside looking in at 45 and 45-2 now. The last 47 games, be on the outside looking in.
Yeah, really tough. That was kind of the thing that everybody was worried about is you knew probably that whoever came out on the losing end of this game, certainly if Alabama was not there, they weren't getting in. If Georgia lost it, you felt like they probably weren't going to make it either. It's a tight one. The score's tight, and so maybe that comes into consideration, but a lot of good resumes out there for these playoff spots this year, no question about that.
Yeah, conference champions and those types of things, and it's just one of those deals, man. And that's why we're gonna have this 12-team expanded playoff.
Yep, Rusty, where does it go wrong for Georgia tonight, in your opinion?
A couple of things. The first thing that really surprised me was the inability to run the football. I mean, they only averaged. Let me see what they averaged: 2.3 yards a carry. Which, if you told me Georgia's going to average, 2.3 yards a carry, man. I wouldn't have thought it'd been this close. It's just something we haven't seen. You got to credit Alabama there on their offensive line. A couple times Georgia got stuffed. I didn't like one of the play calls from Mike Bubba on one of the third down, on one of the third and ones. But other than that, they made some plays, and you got to credit Alabama. They got after Georgia up front. Lab McConkey wasn't 100%. Brock Bowers gave it all he had. No Rod Thomas. To be honest, man, we only got a series and a half of Marius Mims. And Georgia was playing really good football with the Marius Mims. He goes out, so it kind of takes that thunder out. So, listen, you can say some things about Georgia. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses. They had a bad call. They got a bad call on Isaiah Bond on 4th and 4. It should have been reviewed, and they don't give up 7. But here's one thing I'll tell you, Jake. When you start looking at little things, you want to know what it takes to beat Alabama. You miss a field goal, and it hits the upright. Well, guess what happens to play before? You jump off sides, and you back it up 5 yards. Yep. Little things like that, man, matter. Georgia lost by 3. They had a costly turnover on a the area I'm sitting at, Jake. I don't know what TV showed. The area I'm sitting, if he gets that inside handoff off, I don't know that he goes for a touchdown, but he goes for a long way. There's nobody on that side of the field, and for whatever reason, the ball got fumbled and it cost him 3 points.
Yeah, that one was tough, man. And it felt like just some uncharacteristic stuff from Georgia. Like you said, to me, when Marius Mims went out, that changed the whole face of this offense. In a way that we haven't seen them do most of this season. There were some calls late during that game, not even late, but just throughout it, that didn't feel indicative of what we saw throughout the course of the year when it came to Georgia's offense.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that didn't go right. And I'll say this, man, I never complain about refs, and the refs didn't cost Georgia this game, but it didn't help them any. A couple times I thought they let Alabama play a little handsy, and I'll go back and watch the tape. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I felt like they let Alabama play a little bit handsy, especially defensive back, and is what it is. Georgia couldn't really get there, and look, you're not going to win them all. You're not going to win them all. That was incredible. It was a history run for Georgia. This team is still loaded. This team has still got a lot of people. This team's not going anywhere. Okay, they're not going anywhere. They lost to Alabama again. That's going to be the storyline until they're able to beat Alabama. Until they're able to beat Alabama in this building, they're going to keep hearing this storyline.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it. I'm curious, Rusty, we talked a little bit about the offense and some of the struggles they had, especially when Marius Mims exits. Obviously beat up on that side of the ball, too. I think Brock Bowers pretty clearly looked like he was less than probably a step, if not more, behind where you normally see him from an explosion standpoint. Lab McConkey looked like he was gutting it out there a little bit as well. Yep. Defensively, though, felt like there were some positive things for Georgia. It wasn't great all night. There's no question about that. But I feel like they created opportunities for the offense to get the ball back in their hands.
They got the ball back 20-17. They had Jalen Milroe, and listen, the dude made plays. that ball he just flips for a first down. I mean, that's an athlete making a play. And there's really no defense against that because what did they do? They kept him in the pocket. They did what they wanted to do. They got in his face. He turns and flicks it to Isaiah Bond, converts a first down, and they score 2 plays later. So, when you look at Jalen Milroe, some of the things that he did, you got to give him credit, man, because he was a different type of athlete. And if I told you, Bruce, if I'd have told you yesterday that Jalen Milroe was going to throw for 2 touchdowns and Carson Beck didn't throw for 1 touchdown, you probably would have bet your house on it. And at the end of the day, they won 27-24.
Yeah, pretty good outing for Milroe just in general. 13 of 23, 192 yards, 2 touchdowns, 57% on that completion percentage. And they relied on him, man. They turned to him, especially that series was with Isaiah Bond, the 4-for-4, man, just
Correct.
going down. I mean, just surgical. They moved down the field and really, really, that was kind of the one that really put it all away for Alabama. Certainly. You mentioned Carson Beck. 21 of 29 on the night, 72%, 243 yards for him. Just not his. I mean, statistically, that's not the worst performance ever. It's just not enough to get it done in a moment like this.
Yeah, he didn't have a lot of time, to be honest with you, man. I mean, he had a lot of time to clear that stuff out. I thought he had a really good run on that 3rd down to move the chains. I thought he was pretty consistent, and I loved the ball he threw to Arian Smith. And he missed 1 ball. I think he missed 1 ball, threw it in behind on a 3rd down. I can't remember who was coming in on a slant. That was really the only ball I thought he missed. He's been great all year. It's going to look. We talked about it on DawgsHQ. It's a big decision this week. It's a very big decision for Carson Beck. Because here's the thing, Jake. Georgia opens up in this building right here against Clemson. And they got to win another game in this building. So who is Carson Beck going to be there? It's going to be somebody else. So big decision for him this week. But overall, what Carson Beck did this year, outstanding. And we'll see this week, big decision for him and his family. He will meet with Kirby Smart. His entire team around him will meet with Kirby Smart this week, I believe, on Monday. So we're going to know pretty quick on this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Rusty, we've talked a little bit about the playoff. In your mind, what has to happen? Is there a path for Georgia at this point?
Yeah, there's a path for Georgia. There's a path for Alabama. So listen, I'm going to give you for both of them. And I don't give a damn who you are. If you're sitting in that room and you put teams up on a board and you take away everything else and you say, give me the 4 best teams in America, the 4 best. I'm extremely confident that Georgia and Alabama are 2 of the 4. Now, will they both get in? I don't know. Alabama certainly, had a great audition today. And head-to-head, Texas has a win over Alabama on the road. You can't discount that. So Michigan's beat Ohio State. So I don't know how this thing's going to play out. I don't really get into that. But if you want to cut through the BS, cut through everything, I don't care who you are and where you're from. If you put your heart, all this other stuff to the side, Georgia and Alabama are 2 of the best teams in the country, and 2 of the top 4 teams in the country, in my opinion. And I just watched it again.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I think Alabama too deserves a lot of credit for what happened tonight. That's something that we haven't talked about a lot. Yep. Alabama, since that Texas loss, man, has consistently climbed the charts. They've gotten progressively better over the course of this season, and they are ticking on all cylinders right now. They're getting it done defensively. They're getting it done offensively. It sucks for Georgia to have to run into the buzzsaw like that, but it is what it is, man. Alabama, if they move forward and let's say they're in the playoff, they're going to be a tough matchup for anybody. Georgia will be as well.
I'll say this about Alabama. This is a Georgia podcast. I'll say this about Alabama. Nobody outside the SEC wants them in this thing. Nobody wants them in. And they probably don't. Nobody wants Georgia in because if you get Georgia 3.5 weeks to get healthy and get their guys back, they're a different football team again. Dealt with a lot of injuries. Pop Johnson, leader on defense, out. Smile Monday played through an injury. So Ra Thomas didn't get to dress out. So Georgia's got there. I'm sure Kirby Smart's downstairs right now at Kirby's press conference. I'm sure he's given his opinion on the committee. So, nobody outside of this region wants Georgia and Alabama in this thing. I can assure you that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Rusty, even though it's a loss, we do game balls every week, man. Well, I guess we haven't had to do game balls in a loss in a long time. But let's go ahead.
We've never have.
Not since you've been at On 3.
No.
I know that. let's go. Let's give out a game ball or two, though, if we can. Some guys who did put together a pretty good performance, in your opinion, offense and defense. Give me one guy on each side who probably, performed up to the standard tonight.
Let me just think. Listen, did you see Kamari Lassiter give up anything today? He didn't give up anything.
No.
I mean, Kamari Lassiter, that side of his field is shut down. That side of the field is shut down, and I haven't had a chance to look through all the stats that came up here. Brock Bowers gutted out. He had 5 catches for 53 yards, and I know that he wasn't 100%. So it's an easy thing to say, but Brock Bowers playing today, fighting through. I just heard somebody in the box say he didn't practice Tuesday or Wednesday. All he had was a helmet on, still on the sideline. So he gave his all against Alabama today. So I'll go Brock Bowers. And I'll go Kamari Lassiter, man, because the dude he shuts down one side of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say this, Dalen Everett caught hell all year. He had a couple bad ones tonight, for sure. Yeah. There's no question about that. Some of that was an extension, though, I think, of the time that those guys were given. I mean, Georgia just wasn't getting a lot of pressure back there in some of those situations, and that was giving Jalen Milroe time to extend that thing, man. Overall, you look at the numbers. Georgia, total yards, 321. Heavy penalty night for Georgia, uncharacteristic of them in that respect, certainly. And then you go look, one more first down for Alabama. Georgia 4 for 12 on third down, 2 for 2 on the fourth downs. Alabama was as well. Time of possession, neck and neck. I mean, this one really did. It came down to the wire, man. It was what most people thought it would be. It just didn't fall the way of the Bulldogs tonight.
Jake, here we can get pretty simple at times. Alabama in the red zone, 5 for 5. Georgia in the red zone, 4 for 5, and they had a field goal at the upright because of a penalty. And you know what I mean? That little things like that cause you not to win a game, and that's something that Kirby Smart. And then when they go back and look at this game and they go back talking to the team, this team knows that, man. This team knows that. Showed some fight, man. Down 10 twice in the fourth quarter. Got this thing back. Just could not get off the field. And you know why they couldn't get off the field? Because they couldn't stop Jalen Milroe when it mattered the most. And that was the difference maker today, was Jalen Milroe with the ball in his hands.
No question about it. Georgia falls to Alabama 27-24 in the SEC championship in Atlanta. We'll now await the postseason fate for the Bulldogs moving forward. Be interested to see how that one plays out. But we got you covered on all things Georgia, postseason and beyond at DawgsHQ. We've got transfer portal popping off soon. We got signing day coming up. It's $1 for 1 month right now at DawgsHQ. You can also get 50% off your first year. One of those 2 deals. Choose it. Come check us out. See what we have to offer. Georgia, a heartbreaker for sure. No question about it. Not what the fans wanted, but interested to see where the Bulldogs go from here. For Rusty Mansell, I'm Jake Roos. This is DawgsHQ. Thanks for tuning in.